The Greensboro chapter of the Links Incorporated welcomes you to our 2021 Visual Arts Master Series Artist Noir, a profile of Greensboro artists. The Links Incorporated is one of the nation's oldest and largest volunteer service organizations of extraordinary women who are committed to enriching, sustaining, and ensuring the cultural and economic survival of African Americans and other persons of African ancestry. The organization has attracted many distinguished women who are individual achievers and have made a difference in their community and the world. They are business and civic leaders, role models, mentors, activists, and volunteers who work towards a common vision by engaging like-minded organizations and individuals for partnership. Nothing warms the heart, restores the spirit, or fills the soul more than linking arms with friends to serve and better our community. The Links Incorporated has a strong record of supporting the performing and visual arts, with an emphasis on highlighting artists of color. Today, we celebrate the creative gifts of some very talented African American artists. The Greensboro chapter of the Links Incorporated has chosen to heighten the visibility of the arts in our community by engaging local artists in conversation. In doing so, we have chosen to highlight artists that we believe are enlightening, inspiring, and intriguing. For our first master artist, we welcome Darlene J. McClinton, a mural artist and co-owner of the Artist Block located at 1020 West Gate City Boulevard. Mark your calendars now to journey with African American artist Antoine Williams, a mixed media artist, on April the 19th, and Beverly McIver, a contemporary artist, on April the 22nd, as our featured Master Art Series guests. To bring this series to a pinnacle, please join us for a candid conversation about their individual artistic journey and their work connection to social and political issues of today. The conversation will be moderated by another well-known Greensboro artist, Sonny Gravely, a pop-up visual artist and co-owner of the Artist Block. And this conversation will take place on Tuesday, April the 22nd, 2021, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. And now I present to you our first master artist, Darlene J. McClinton.
I am Darlene J. McClinton. I'm originally from South Bronx, New York, but I was raised here in Greensboro. I became an artist at a very young age. How did it start? I really don't know. I just basically, when my friends took home economics classes for home economics, I always took art classes. So I kind of started off with dance and tap dance. Then I moved to playing the violin for 9 years. And then visual arts came to me, and it was just something that I kind of just went in love. I never knew that you can really make a career out of art. You think about art as a hobby, and when I sold my first painting, that's when I knew that I could make a career out of it. So I went to Grimsley High School here, went to North Carolina A&T State University and got my degree in visual arts and design. And then as soon as I graduated from A&T, I moved to Washington, D.C. and got my MFA in painting and digital art. And I always wanted to get into public art because I just wanted to be an artist that made a huge impact. I knew that I was an artist in college my freshman year when I took a painting class. I was taught in high school, but still kind of self-taught. And I started painting this. The 9/11 had just happened when I was a freshman. So that was a big impact on campus. So I painted a woman called Liberty. And in her eyes, I put the Statue of Liberty in the Twin Towers. And I started working on the lips. And my professor, Dr. Willie Hooker, came into the classroom. He said, D, you know something? You can paint. And I looked down and I was like, you know what? I can paint. So from there, I knew that I wanted to do art. I feel like it was always inside of me. I just didn't know I didn't know that I was destined or born to be an artist at that time. I still felt like I was exploring. But when I was in high school and college, undergrad, I always said that I wanted to be an international artist. And Dr. Hooker, he would read my artist statements and my bios. He was like, it's always something different about you. I always noticed that. He was like, you're talking about international. Even though I didn't even know what international was, but it was something that inside of me it was calling me. The people that influenced me to become an artist, I would say, is my mentor, Amy Clapp. I used to want to be an architectural designer before artist, and she would buy me books. And then my mom always for Christmas brought me art supplies. And then when I got to college, Dr. Willie Hooker stood out to me, and also the late Leanda Kennedy. They were my mentors there at A&T, and they really poured into me. And Leanda Kennedy taught me to develop a niche. So my niche was portraiture. So I went around painting portraits for people in the city of Greensboro for $150, and I would sell it. And that's how I would start paying my bills, paying for summer school, paying for different things like that. So they really influenced me to be an artist. But what made me become an artist and a researcher was when I started attending graduate school at Howard University. That they really kind of shaped the gift in a sense, and just taught me that it's way more out there. Like, people just look at art as a hobby, but we're scholars of art. Like, I have to write, I have to read, I have to research. It's a big critical thinking and creative thinking process that goes into being an artist, especially a public artist, which I am. A few things motivates me to be an artist. One is helping others. This is my way of helping the community. This is my way of beautifying the community. This is my way of giving back to the community. I would say number two is it's a therapeutic release for me. So I was adopted at a young age. My mom died from AIDS. My father was incarcerated. I had a lot of trauma as a young child, but instead of like taking my anger or things that I did not understand or have an understanding of and doing like, bad things, negative things, I just funneled that energy into art and also into playing sports. So for me, art is very therapeutic. It's how I get my emotions out. It's how I get my feelings out, and it's how I communicate. It's really how I'm a visual communicator. And I would say thirdly, my drive is to impact the world. And that's where the public art comes in. I never wanted to be an artist that all of my work was in the room or in a house, or I died it's in the basement. I always wanted my work to speak to people, to communicate with people, and have a dialogue in between my work. So that's something that drives me. The drive of being an international artist, the drive of being a household name. Those are the things that drive me as an artist. My first public art experience was in 2011. One of my influences is Dr. Emma Adams. And I just moved to Greensboro. I was in one of her art shows, and it had a program called Murals Minds the Community. And I actually got my first mural project by default, but they had hired somebody else and they fell through and they came to me. So I wanted to build my reputation up. And for me, a way of building my reputation was not to be a talkative person, not to be a person that talked more than they actually did. So I wanted to be a doer. So I wanted to show up and show the community and impress Dr. Adams that I'm going to come in here and get the work done. I want to show my work ethic through my actions. So I had been at college. It's my first mural. It's in an international generational house. It was about 20 feet long, about 15 feet high, and I completed the mural in 7 days. Just came in, knocked the design out, and did it. When we had to do the unveiling, Dr. Adams walked up to me. She said, "You put that mural up so fast, I didn't even get a chance to help you." But with that one mural, I gained respect. And that was the goal, to show my talent, but also to respect me as, kind of as we see right here, as an entrepreneur. Like, I'm an artist and I'm a businesswoman, and I want more gigs. My second one was at the International Civil Rights Museum. I did took the same exact approach. Was working with Bombadilla Demerson. John Swain is still there. I have one there. And then the biggest one, not yet to this date, but at that time, was I painted the historical Acock Historic District, which was a 182 feet long tunnel. And that one put me on the front cover. And then that's how my career just started blossoming. And I started becoming, slowly but surely, a household name. And although at meetings I may be silent, but I showed up. And then when it was time for me to perform, I performed. And then I go home and do it all over again. So I have about 12 public arts in the city of Greensboro. I just painted one on Spring Garden Street, that bridge on the Greenway. I have a piece at the Greensboro Museum during the Black Lives Matter movement. The one that was in front of Elsewhere, I was the creative director behind that. It's just, sometimes, honestly, at this moment, it's hard for me to always keep up with my work, but that's kind of where I want it to be. I want to be a household name, and I want my work all over the world. I want to paint the world if I can. My ultimate goal, where do I see myself next, is an international artist. Right now, when I started at graduate school, I went in, I was 23 years old. I was green behind the ears, and I walked in to speak to my advisor, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" And look at me, cocky, 23 years old, you can't tell nobody nothing. And I said, "I want to be an international artist." And he was like, "Ha ha ha. In order to become an international artist, you first must become local. Then you must become national. Then you must become international." So I moved to Greensboro with the intention to become a local artist. And now I have the national, but now I want to be international. So that's kind of where I am, my goals are. And then also another goal is to make, this year, $250,000, $300,000 just doing art. That's my goal, because there's projects out there that people don't know about, and you have to take the time to apply for it. And ultimately, my goal is to be a multimillionaire as an artist, so that I can open up more schools, open up more businesses, and continue to create jobs and opportunities for artists, which that's one of the reasons why I love the Artist Block, the business we started in 2014. I did a workshop on how to break into the arts industry, and it was with young professionals. Basically, I would say it's really, really about establishing trust with the community. All great artists have a community that supports them. And if you're not everywhere art is, if you're not at the galleries, if you're not showing up and being on boards and committees and meeting people, how will people know who you are? So I would say the first step is volunteering, getting yourself out there. Number two, beginning to get comfortable enough to charge and treat yourself as a business, as an artist. I tell all my students at A&T to, take entrepreneurship classes, because we are businesses, and then become visible. And then it's really about really, really being consistent and working hard. Public art is like being a construction worker. I'm out there in the rain, summer, sleet, snow. I'm on the ground. I'm climbing ladders. I'm pretty much doing it all to make sure that project or that vision is coming to life. I'm inspired by everything. Talking to you, reading a book, poetry, going outside. Anything can be a trigger for me as an artist. Anything can spark a vision inside of me. But if I have a particular project, the first thing I do is do visual research. So I'm looking for different, like if I want a mural to be bold, or if I wanted to have a certain symbolism, I'm researching the symbolism. So it's visual research, then I research, and then I begin to grab ideas and I lump them together, and then I sort through it, and then the vision just begins to come and I work through it. And I usually design digitally now, so that it's easy for me to make edits when I'm sending it off to people to have it approved. But really, it starts with visual research first, and just thinking, for instance, It's a mural project downtown Greensboro. I saw it on your email, Centric Brands. And they want me to paint 3 murals in there. And what I did yesterday when I had spare time, I Googled Centric Brands just to get a feel for it. Then I Googled, it's an entrepreneurship hub. So then I Googled entrepreneurs. What does that look like? So every thought that came to my mind, I just began to start Googling and just getting visual clues on what will this mural convey in this particular space. And that's kind of how that process starts for me. What I would tell young people is explore first and figure out what you really want to do. I did. I went to undergrad, I went to graduate school, I was homeless. A part of my journey that you asked me earlier, I was homeless. I went through a whole entire process of understanding who I am, whose I am, and my purpose on earth. It's important to follow your destiny and not a dream. Some dreams come true, some dreams don't. But if you're following your destiny and you're walking in your purpose, that journey will come to life. So it's important to discover and find your purpose and then figure out. I always ask this to one of my mentors. It's a crazy thing that I'm about to say, but one of the things I ask my mentor is, how much money do you want to make? Because if you think about the financials and you have your data put into place and you say, hey, I just want to live. Some people say, hey, I want to travel. It'll kind of, from there, you can base how much work you really want to put into where you want to go. So that's something I ask people, like, what type of lifestyle do you want to live? And then from there, you'll know what type of artist you want to be. Do you want to be in a gallery? I realize I don't want to be a gallery artist because sometimes you sell and sometimes you don't. But public art, I like public art because it makes an impact. But I can also sit still for 5 hours and apply for a $15,000 to $20,000 project. And that's what people make in 1 year. And I'm making that in 3 weeks. So it just depends on what you want to do. So I say the destiny, finding your purpose, and exploring is something I would tell young people. And get a mentor. I have a mentor in every aspect of my life. I have a financial mentor. I have an art mentor. I have an entrepreneurship mentor. I'm a grants manager at Arts Greensboro. I have a grants manager mentor. In every aspect of my life, I'm surrounding myself with somebody that's done what I want to do, been where I've been, and can guide me and help me along the way. So mentorship is very important, and always be a student of your craft. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how many projects I have. At the end of the day, I'm only as good as my last show, and that's what matters. COVID was a two-edged sword for me. On one point, when COVID first happened, I became depressed because I started thinking, oh my God, am I going to lose all my mural projects? Is the business going to shut down forever, which I love. I just went through a whole emotional depression for 3 to 4 months. I couldn't sleep. I'm up researching, the virus, looking over at China, looking over at Italy, just thinking about everything that's happening. Oh my God, we're in a pandemic. So I did have a moment where I freaked out. I can't lie about that. But once my business was able to close because we couldn't do social events, it allowed me as an artist to emerge again. So when people look at me, they saw me as Darlene, the teacher at A&T, Darlene, the owner of the Artist Block, Darlene, just the mentor, and everybody stopped forgetting who I really am and my true passion, which is art. So it allowed me to reemerge as an artist, put myself back out there. It gave me a chance to focus on me and not the community. Not saying that in a bad way, but sometimes with this particular business model that we have and the other things that I'm doing, everything is almost community oriented. But this is one time I was able to focus on Darlene J. McClinton. And with me being able to focus on Darlene J. McClinton, everything in my life it skyrocketed to I would say a 2,000%. It went very high. So it was a sabbatical. It was time to think, rebrand, rethink some things. And it slowed me down because I used to be up to 2 o'clock in the morning every day. And now I'm ready to go to bed at 6 and 7 o'clock every day because I was like, whoo, I can't believe I was doing all this in one day. Like, wow. So it just makes you want to rest. and take advantage of your rest and try not to pack so much stuff in one day. So it was a very spiritual sabbatical experience, and I really do appreciate it, even though my business has been closed for a year. What I want to leave, my last words, is for the community to know that myself, my business partners, and the Artist Block, we are here. We are here to serve. We have an understanding, and we know that our purpose is to be a servant leader. And that's what I would want the community to know, that we're here to help as much as possible. And we do want people to continue to come out and support us, because myself, Sonny Gravely, and my other business partner, Watcher Schuler, us three women as Black and brown women, we're in a great position to help other people come up. So we have to continue to be supported so we can continue to stay in these positions so that we can help others. For me and my spiritual journey, I would just say I'm just wanting to stay focused. I want to stay steadfast. I want to stay committed. And I want to continue to walk in my purpose, because it feels good to me. Like doing people, because I was raised in the church. That's another thing about me. I was raised heavily in the church. And I learned through my homeless journey, I went from being religious to spiritual. And it's a thin line. I'm going to write a book on it. But it is a difference. And in that journey, I learned that to serve God is to walk in your purpose, to do exactly what God has put you on earth to do. And as long as you walking in your purpose, like the scripture said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor breaking bread. I was homeless. I lived on a $3 budget a day, but I ate every day. So that sticks with me. And one of the other things that I learned, and this is important for anybody that's watching this interview, is one of the processes during my homeless journey is I was stripped in a sense, because I started believing that it was me. I was 25 years old, had graduated from Howard. They had claimed me as a brilliant mind, because I was painting backwards and just doing crazy stuff. And I jumped out there to become an international artist. Everything's in due timing as well. And I started thinking it was me, but I realized during that journey that it's not me. It is really, no cliche, but it is the God in me. And that he taught me, every time you get up in front of a crowd, the first thing you need to say is, to God be all the glory. And that's what I've learned on my spiritual journeys. The Artist Block, where Creative Minds Meet, is an arts venue located at 1020 Westgate City Boulevard. And we're planning to expand very soon. But it's an arts venue. It's a place where creative minds come to do poetry, dance, comedy, live music. Can't think of other things, but anything really dealing with different types of dance battles, anything artistic we do here. It's a place where you can come and be inspired to continue your artistry. It's a place where you come and you can make money as an artist, because the Artist Block, we pay artists, and then people do events here that pay artists. So we created like our own little economic little circle of feeding the arts community. I do believe that the Artist Block is the leaders of the Black arts movement that happened during the Harlem Renaissance. I believe that spirit is living through us, and we brought it back to Greensboro. This is a safe place for all people, but especially people of color. So this is a place where my friends like to come here, because they said it reminds them of Cheers, where everybody knows my name. You've been here 2 or 3 times, everybody's hugging you. It's always good vibes. We don't have to have no security. It's just a good, feel good space for you to find great talent. Some of the best talent in Greensboro, they performed at the Artist Block. I am an A&T alum. I tell all my students that I love that. So when I was living in DC and I got the call to come back to teach at A&T in 2010, so that's why I've been there for 10 years, I was excited, 1, to get back to Greensboro, but 2, to get back to that school. I love teaching because I am able to pour into students, encourage them, and I can identify their talent early, and then I can help mold them in that type of direction. I love providing opportunities. Like I started 2 scholarship programs at A&T since I've been there. which was a TA scholarship where I paid a student $1,000 a year, 500 each semester, to be my teacher assistant. And then I started something called the Alumni Friends, and I will bring all the alumni, visual artists, and friends back to A&T during homecoming. And to enter into this show, they had to give money, $75 to $100. But we were doing it annually. The numbers are starting to come up. So we would give out 2 scholarships every Friday of homecoming. And they traveled from California, from New York, from DC. You know, they was able to see their teachers from when they were kids, because some of them were still there that taught me. So that was a good thing. So I really do enjoy teaching, and I really do just enjoy helping people. And I tell people I wear a lot of creative hats, but I always tell people I'm an artist first, I'm a teacher second, I'm an entrepreneur third. And that's how it is for me. And I got into teaching to pour back into the community and to help people. So I do really enjoy it. Talked on it a little bit, but what it was is I graduated, going back to Howard. The recession had just hit in 2008. I quit both of my jobs, had $5,000, moved to New York City. Didn't tell my mom. I'm young, I'm 25. Nobody knew, bad idea. And I didn't even have the idea, I didn't even understand the word income at that age. Because you think you're grown, but your parents really are still taking care of you to certain, I never brought tissue. It was just certain things that, you just don't even know that you need to buy to survive as an adult. And I was there for 3 months. After 3 months of applying for jobs and trying to become an international artist, I just fell flat on my face, and I ended up having to sleep in my car. I found an apartment in Washington Heights, and I rented for $700 a month, 1 room, and just shared it with the Latino community. That's that part of New York City. And that was my first time experiencing racism living there, even though my skin is dark like Puerto Ricans, but I wasn't Hispanic. So I experienced a little bit of racism during that time. And it was just a very humbling experience for me. At first, I was really mad at God. I was like, why would you do this to me, And then I realized that God spoke to me, and that's when he told me I was going to become a teacher. And that's when he told me that I was going to teach A&T. I never knew that. All of that was revealed to me during the homeless journey. And I began to understand signs and wonders, because a lot of times people say that there are no signs, that God's not doing no more signs and wonders. Yes, he is. You're just not taking time to pay attention to it. And I went to sleep when the sun went down. I woke up when the sun rose. If I'm driving down the street and I see the birds turn to the left, that was a sign. God said, veer to the left, veer to the right. So that was a whole entire trust in God, spiritual journey. I came out with 10 commandments, and God told me, how can you serve the people if you live above the people? How can you really help people if you don't know what people are going through? And it had got to a place in my life where I had those jobs, and I was young, and I was balling out of control, going to the bar every Friday. But how can I really, understand what's happening in the world when I'm just living this type of lifestyle? So it was a stripping, and it was a humbling experience, and it was meant for me to learn, because now those skills that I learned being homeless enabled me to open up this business, because I knew how to make a dollar holler. And I knew when we were weathering the storm and we didn't have any money, I knew how to navigate, because I had lived at a place with no money. Police officers would knock out the window and say, you can't sleep on this side. When I lived in New Jersey, you can't sleep on this side, you got to go on this side. The texture of my skin changed because I wasn't able to take showers every single day. And I got a chance to see homeless people on a different degree. Then I got a chance to wake up in the middle of the night and see other people sleeping in their cars. We don't see things like that. If you go home every day, you don't see people sleeping in their cars. So I just think it was an awakening. And it really helped me understand who I am on this journey and fully understand my purpose. And God said that you're meant to be a teacher. You're meant to live a life of service. Boom. And until you know it, you'll be right here. And I started to grow, and I had a dream that I was going to teach at A&T. And sure enough, Obama became president. I stood in line, still homeless, when he became president. And 3 days or 4 days after that, I got an apartment. My job hired me back, gave me a bed, advanced me some money. for me to get on my feet. And then I started my first teaching job as a middle school art teacher at Charles Hart Middle School. And I came in there with great impact. And the things I did at that school, they said they had never seen, in 20 years, they had never seen the involvement from that community, because that community is pretty rough in that school. So that homeless journey, it just kind of really shaped me. Like, I don't believe in material possessions. I don't believe in any of that. Like, I don't even, like, you come to my house, very down to earth. I'm never going to spend a lot of money for nothing. I just spend money on experiences, because in a split second, everything can be taken away from you. And once you experience that, you know it's not real. So I don't have no gold, no jewelry. I wear costume jewelry. And I have no problem with that.